My beloved child, pause everything you are doing and listen with your spirit, because this moment is not ordinary and this message is not random. There is a reason your heart felt a sudden pull, a reason your attention stopped here without explanation. In the unseen realm, something rare has just happened. Heaven has flagged your name for an emergency release. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Tonight. What was delayed for years, what seemed locked behind silence and waiting, has begun to move, and the window for it is narrow. This is not meant to frighten you, but to awaken you. When heaven marks a name, it is because time has shifted, permissions have changed, and divine authority have been activated. For a long time, you have wondered why doors would almost open and then close again. Why answers came close but never fully arrived. Why you prayed, endured, stayed faithful, yet still carried questions in your heart late at night. You may have even questioned yourself, wondering if you missed something, if you were too late, or if God had moved on. Hear this clearly now. None of those delays were accidents. None of them meant you were forgotten. They were part of a larger battle you were not meant to fight alone. In moments like this, heaven does not send confusion. Heaven sends clarity. And standing at the center of this moment is Archangel Michael, the defender, the warrior of divine order, the one assigned when matters become urgent and contested, when timelines are attacked, when destinies are resisted, when a release is overdue and opposition refuses to let go. Michael is dispatched. His presence signals that what is happening now required authority, strength, and decisive action. This is not a gentle nudge. This is a command-level movement. The phrase emergency release is not symbolic. In the spiritual realm, it means something was held back beyond its intended time, and heaven has intervened to restore momentum. It means petitions were reviewed, resistance was overruled, and clearance was granted without delay. You did not imagine the heaviness of the waiting season. You were not wrong to feel that something important was stuck. There were forces you could not see, and they have now been addressed. Tonight matters because certain windows do not remain open indefinitely. Heaven works with precision, not panic, but it also honors timing. There are moments when alignment converges all at once: readiness, authority, obedience, and divine permission. A convergence is happening now. This is why your spirit feels alert. This is why restlessness has mixed with expectation. This is why ordinary distractions suddenly feel unimportant. Your soul recognizes a shift before your mind can explain it. Archangel Michael does not arrive for small adjustments. He appears when boundaries are crossed, when delays threaten purpose, and when a decisive line must be drawn. His role is not only to defend, but to clear, to remove what has lingered too long, to separate what was interfering, to enforce what heaven already decreed. And tonight, enforcement has begun. You may not yet see visible change, but movement does not begin where eyes can see. It begins where authority is recognized. Something that was marked wait hath been stamped release. Something that required endurance has now entered acceleration. The same prayers you whispered when you were tired, the same hope you carried quietly when nothing made sense, have been brought forward again. Not as memories, but as active petitions. There is urgency here because this is not about rushing. It is about responding. Heaven does not force participation. It invites alignment. This message is not sent to everyone, only to those whose names were called when the signal went out. If you are hearing this, it is because you are within range of that call. Ignoring it does not cancel what heaven has done, but it can delay your experience of it. Alignment determines how smoothly release becomes reality. For years, You adapted to waiting. You learned how to carry unanswered questions. You became strong in silence. But strength in waiting does not mean you were meant to stay there. Seasons change not because you deserve them, but because assignments require them. What is moving now is connected to who you are becoming, not just what you want to receive. Tonight is not about fear. It is about awareness. The window is open, and awareness keeps you positioned. You are not required to understand everything. You are required to be present, receptive, and willing to move when clarity comes. Archangel Michael's involvement means protection surrounds this transition. What is released will not harm you. It will not confuse you. It will bring order where there was tension, direction where there was uncertainty, and confirmation where there was doubt. This moment is sacred because it restores trust. Trust that heaven sees timing better than pain does. Trust that delays do not erase promises. Trust that your endurance mattered more than you realized. The emergency was never about heaven being late. It was about heaven being precise. You are not standing at the edge of loss. You are standing at the threshold of motion. What was delayed for years is no longer held back. The signal has got out. The authority has been issued. The movement has begun. And your awareness right now is not accidental. Beloved one, now hear this with clarity and relief, because what you called a delay was never a denial. Heaven did not hesitate because you were unworthy, unready, or overlooked. The delay existed because timing is a weapon in the spiritual realm, and what was assigned to you carried weight. Lightweight assignments move quickly. Heavy ones are guarded, tested, and protected until the moment they can arrive without being corrupted, stolen, or misused. What you were waiting for required precision, not speed. There were seasons when you felt close to breakthrough, only to feel it slip away again. That pattern was not punishment, and was protection. Archangel Michael's role is not only to fight visible battles, but to guard timing itself. When something is meant to shape your future, not just bless your present, heaven often slows the release until your foundation can carry it. You were being reinforced in ways you could not see. Strength was being built quietly. Discernment was being sharpened. Authority was being formed through endurance. Many people receive things early and lose them quickly. Heaven chose a different path for you. The delay preserved what was meant to last. While you waited, other doors closed not to limit you, but to narrow your focus. Distractions fell away. False options faded. You and relationships shifted. At times, this felt isolating, but isolation is often the space where alignment happens. Heaven clears noise so instruction can be heard. Archangel Michael stands in moments where resistance meets permission. For years, resistance was allowed because growth was still unfolding. But resistance has limits. When it oversteps its assignment, it is confronted. What has happened now is not random acceleration. It is a correction. The delay fulfilled its purpose. The season taught you what it needed to teach. And now, authority has stepped in to say, enough. If you are honest, you are not the same person you were when you first prayed for this. Your heart is steadier. Your faith is quieter but stronger. You no longer chase signs the way you used to. You recognize truth by peace, not by noise. A change did not happen overnight, and it did not happen without cost. But it is exactly why release can happen now without destroying what it is meant to build. This is why heaven is moving decisively instead of gradually. The preparation phase is complete. The delay did not disqualify you. It qualified you. And when heaven qualifies someone, it also clears the path. Archangel Michael's involvement confirms that whatever opposed this release has been addressed. You are not walking into uncertainty alone. You are being escorted into alignment. Now, let this moment also mark something practical. If this message is resonating deeply, do not keep it to yourself. Engage with it. Respond to it. When you like this message, when you comment, when you share it with someone who needs clarity, you are not supporting a video, you are affirming alignment. Subscribe to this channel and consider joining the membership if this kind of guidance strengthens you. These actions are not about numbers. They are about staying connected to messages that keep you spiritually aware and grounded during moments like this. Heaven often confirms movement through repetition. The same themes return until we recognize them. The same messages surface until we respond. This is not coincidence. This is reinforcement. The delay taught you patience, but this season will teach you discernment in motion. Moving wisely is as important as waiting faithfully. Understand this as well. Not everything delayed was delayed by opposition. Some things were delayed by mercy. There were versions of you that needed to pass away before the next chapter could begin. Old fears, old coping patterns, old ways of shrinking to survive. Those could not come with you. Heaven waited until they loosened their grip. That is why this release feels different. It does not feel frantic. It feels firm. It does not feel chaotic. It feels intentional. That is the signature of divine timing. Archangel Michael's presence ensures that what is released now is protected on arrival. You are not stepping into something fragile. You are stepping into something established. Let your heart rest in this truth. Nothing was wasted. No prayer fell to the ground unheard. No tear was ignored. The delay served its purpose, and now that purpose has been fulfilled, movement has resumed because readiness had been confirmed. In the moments ahead, stay attentive. Not anxious, not rushed, but aware. Alignment often whispers before it moves loudly. This is a sacred stretch of time, and understanding it now will help you recognize what unfolds next without confusion. Hold on to this clarity, because the next unfolding will make even more sense when you remember why the delay was never denial. Chosen one. There was a moment you did not witness with your physical eyes, yet it explains everything your soul has been sensing. While your days moved forward in ordinary time, while you carried unanswered prayers with quiet strength, a summons was issued in the unseen realm. This was not symbolic language and not imagination. This was a real moment of order, authority, and timing. In the course of heaven, where nothing is forgotten and nothing is rushed, your name was spoken aloud. Not whispered, not questioned, spoken with clarity. This did not happen because heaven suddenly noticed you. It happened because a season reached completion. Every prayer you prayed during exhaustion, every time you chose faith when doubt felt louder, every moment you stayed soft when life tempted you to harden, was recorded. Heaven keeps precise accounts, not of perfection, but of perseverance. And when the measure was full, when the waiting accomplished what it needed to accomplish, your case was reopened, not to be reviewed, but to be resolved. In that moment, Archangel Michael stepped forward. His presence in the heavenly courts is never casual. He does not arrive for emotional appeals or unfinished processes. He stands when authority must be enforced and when resistance has exceeded its assignment. He did not speak about your pain. He spoke about your alignment. He did not argue for mercy. He presented readiness. This is important because heaven moves on agreement, not desperation. Your name being called means identity and timing aligned at the same moment. Heaven does not release futures into unstable foundations. It waits until what is coming can be carried without collapse. Earlier, you wanted the answer. Now, you can steward the outcome. Earlier, you were asking for relief. Now, you are prepared for responsibility. That shift is why the call happened now and not then. When your name was spoken, it was spoken individually, not as part of a group, not as one of many. Heaven addressed you personally. Your journey was considered in full context. The delays you endured were not held against you. They were understood. The tears you never explained were not ignored. They were weighed. And when the verdict was issued, it was not partial. It was complete. What changed in that moment was not heaven's intention, but heaven's tradition. What was once mocked with mock release. What was listed as pending was clear. What faced resistance was now protected. This is why the shift feels sudden to you, but orderly in your spirit. Heaven moves suddenly when preparation is complete. This is also why peace is beginning to rise where confusion once lived. A heavenly verdict brings inner order before outer manifestation. You may not yet see circumstances changing, but alignment has already begun. That alignment is evidence. When something is decided in heaven, it echoes first in the soul. Archangel Michael's involvement confirms something else you need to know. What is being released required protection. When delayed things begin to move, they attract attention. But you are not exposed. You are covered. The same authority that cleared the way now guards the outcome. You are not responsible for defending what is coming. You are responsible for remaining aligned with it. Let this truth dismantle an old lie. You were never forgotten in the waiting. You were being prepared for a moment that required strength, clarity, and discernment. Heaven did not pity you. Heaven trusted you. Your story did not stall. It was elevated. And now that your name had been called, movement is not a possibility. It is already in motion. This moment is sacred because it restores perspective. You were not delayed because you were late. You were delayed because timing was protecting destiny. What unfolds next will not demand panic or striving. It will require awareness, obedience, and trust. The call has been made. The authority has been issued. The process has begun. Receive this with humility and confidence. You are stepping into a chapter that required endurance to unlock, and nothing that has been authorized can be reversed. Type "I receive the release" in the comments if this is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 7719 has now been activated over your life. And now hear this, because this moment extends beyond you. When this message reached you, it was not only for your awakening, but for the awakening of many who are still waiting for clarity. The Lord is saying, as you sow into this work, I turn your obedience into light for others still walking in darkness. Every act of support becomes seed that multiplies revelation, like oil flowing without limit. I speak this personally to you now. Your response in this window carries weight. Support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal. The link is waiting in the description. I declare that as you release, heaven releases back to you in measure you cannot calculate. Act now, because obedience and alignment opens doors no delay can close. Beloved one, there are moments when heaven moves quietly, and the only evidence is what begins to stir inside you. This is one of those moments. Before doors open on the outside, signs appear within, not to confuse you, but to prepare you. If you have felt unusual inner movement recently, it is not imagination. It is alignment. Heaven always signals its activity to those who are paying attention, and these signals are not dramatic interruptions, but gentle confirmations that something real is unfolding. One of the clearest signs you are inside the window is a deep inner restlessness that does not come from fear. It is not anxiety pushing you to run. It is awareness calling you to readiness. You may find yourself less interested in distractions that once occupied your mind. Things that used to excite you now feel empty. Conversations that once held your attention feel shallow. This is not loss. This is refinement. When heaven prepares to release something significant, it simplifies your focus so you can recognize what matters. Another sign is repeated confirmation. Not loud announcements, but patterns. The same themes appearing in different places. The same words showing up unexpectedly. Messages that echo what you have been feeling privately. This repetition is not coincidence. It is reinforcement. Heaven speaks in agreement. When alignment is near, confirmation multiplies, not to pressure you, but to steady you. You may also notice an unusual calm surrounding things that once triggered you. Situations that would have unsettled you now pass without the same emotional reaction. This is not numbness. It is maturity. It means you are no longer easily pulled off center. Archangel Michael's presence brings order, not chaos. Where he stands, confusion loses its grip. If peace is growing where turmoil once lived, that is a sign of divine protection actively working. Some signs are subtle shifts in desire. You may feel drawn toward stillness, reflection, or prayer without forcing it. Not because you are afraid of missing something, but because your spirit recognizes importance. Heaven does not rush you into alignment. It draws you. When the draw feels natural, not pressured, it is a sign you are moving in step with timing. Dreams and sudden insights can also increase during this window. Not dramatic visions, but clear impressions. Thoughts that arrive fully formed. Understanding that seems to come from nowhere. This is how heaven communicates when noise has been cleared. When Archangel Michael is active, clarity increases. You begin to see connections you missed before. Past delays make sense. Closed doors reveal their purpose. Another sign is a gentle separation from what no longer fits. This can include habits, relationships, or even old expectations. This separation may feel bittersweet, but it is peaceful. There is no forcing, and no anger. Just an understanding that certain things cannot move forward with you. Heaven always lightens the load before acceleration. Release requires space. Pay attention also to how your body responds. Many people notice deeper rest, or sudden tiredness followed by renewed energy. This is not weakness. It is recalibration. When seasons shift, even the physical body adjusts. Rest becomes necessary so strength can return in the right form. It is important to understand what these signs are not. They are not fear-driven urgency. They are not confusion. They are not pressured to perform. Heaven does not rush through anxiety. Divine urgency carries peace. It calls you awake, not panicked. If something pushes you toward fear, it is not from this release. Archangel Michael's guidance is firm but calm. He does not shout. He stabilizes. His presence ensures that you are not led by emotion, but by discernment. This is why these signs feel grounding rather than overwhelming. You are being positioned, not pushed. You may also notice resistance losing strength. Things that once blocked you no longer hold the same power. Delays ease. Conversations shift. Opportunities appear without struggle. This does not mean everything changes at once. It means momentum has returned. When momentum returns, progress becomes natural. Heaven gives signs not so you chase them, but so you recognize timing. Awareness keeps you aligned. Alignment keeps you protected. Protection keeps the release intact. This window is not about effort. It is about recognition. Knowing where you stand allows you to move wisely. If you see these signs, do not question them away. Do not demand dramatic proof. Heaven confirms quietly before it confirms loudly. Trust what brings peace. Trust what aligns without strain. Trust the stillness that feels full, not empty. You are not outside the window wondering if something might happen. You are inside it, learning to recognize movement before manifestation. This is how heaven prepares those it trusts. And with Archangel Michael overseeing this transition, you can remain confident that what is unfolding is ordered, protected, and intentional. Let this awareness settle. You do not need to worry. You do not need to fear missing anything. The window is real, and you are already standing within it. Beloved one, now it is time to understand what is actually being released, because clarity protects you from misunderstanding the moment. When heaven moves after a long delay, it does not always release what you expected. It releases what is needed. Many people assume release means instant answers, sudden changes, or visible rewards. But heaven is far more intentional than that. What is being released now is alignment, restoration, and authority returning to its rightful place in your life. The first thing being released is clarity. Not loud explanations, not overwhelming information, but steady knowing. You will begin to sense what belongs to you and what does not. Decisions that once felt complicated will feel lighter. You will no longer wrestle internally the way you used to. This clarity is not emotional confidence, it is spiritual certainty. It settles you instead of exciting you. And that is how you know it is from heaven. Another major release is restoration of momentum. For a long time, effort did not match outcome. You tried, you waited, you adjusted, yet progress felt slow or inconsistent. That resistance has been addressed. Momentum does not mean everything moves fast. It means things move forward without unnecessary friction. You will notice that what once required force now responds to alignment. This is not because circumstances suddenly became easy, but because authority has shifted. Heaven is also releasing peace in a deeper form. Not the peace that comes when problems disappear, but the peace that remains even when things are still unfolding. This peace guards your thoughts. It keeps you from reacting impulsively. It anchors you while movement is happening around you. Archangel Michael's presence ensures that this peace is not fragile. It is enforced. What once unsettled you will no longer have the same access. Another release happening now is the removal of internal pressure. During the waiting season, you carried a silent burden to make things happen, to not miss your chance, to get everything right. That pressure is lifting. Heaven is reminding you that fulfillment does not depend on your constant striving. It depends on obedience and trust. When pressure lifts, joy begins to return in quiet ways. There is also a release of rightful authority. Over time, delays can make you doubt your place, your voice, or your impact. You may have started shrinking your expectations or lowering your confidence to protect yourself from disappointment. That shrinking is ending. Authority is not arrogance. It is alignment with who you were created to be. As this authority returns, you will notice you speak with more confidence, choose with more certainty, and no longer apologize for clarity. Some releases are relational. Not necessarily new people arriving immediately, but clarity about connections. You will recognize who is meant to walk with you and who has completed their role. This recognition will not come with resentment. It will come with peace. Heaven never forces separation through conflict when alignment can handle it quietly. It is important to understand that what is being released is not chaos or drastic upheaval. Heaven is not disrupting your life, it is correcting its flow. What aligns will stay. What resists alignment will naturally fall away. You do not need to push anything out. Release handles that for you. You may also notice renewed strength, not physical energy alone, but emotional resilience. Things that once drained you will no longer have the same effect. You will recover faster. You will rest more deeply. This is not accidental. Strength is required to steward what is coming next. Archangel Michael's involvement means that this release is protected from interference. What hath been authorized cannot be easily challenged. You are not stepping into something fragile that can be taken away at the first obstacle. You are stepping into something secured. This is why patience is still important. Not because you are waiting again, but because maturity keeps releases intact. Another aspect of this release is discernment in motion. You will not need to analyze every step excessively. You will sense when to act and when to pause. This discernment will feel calm, not rushed. It will not demand constant confirmation. That is a sign of trust being restored between you and heaven. What is being released now is also freedom from old narratives. Stories you told yourself during the delay about being behind, forgotten, or overlooked will lose their hold. Those narratives served as survival tools, but they are no longer needed. Heaven is replacing them with truth grounded in experience, not theory. Do not measure this release by speed or spectacle. Measure it by stability, peace, and steady progress. Heaven builds to last, and what is unfolding now is meant to endure beyond a moment of excitement. This is not the release of everything at once. It is the release of what allows everything else to follow in order. Foundations are being reinforced. Authority is being restored. Peace is being established. And momentum has returned. Remain attentive, not anxious. Grateful, not impatient. What is being released now is exactly what you need to walk forward without fear, without confusion, and without delay. Beloved one, now heaven brings your focus to a truth that determines how smoothly everything unfolds from here. Positioning. Release alone is not enough. Alignment is what allows release to land without resistance. Many people receive moments of breakthrough, but only those who are correctly positioned are able to sustain them. This season is not asking you to do more, rush harder, or prove your faith. It is asking you to stand differently, think differently, and move with discernment rather than urgency. Correct positioning begins with stillness that carries authority. This is not passive waiting and not withdrawal from life. It is a deep internal steadiness where you are no longer reacting to pressure, opinions, or fear of missing out. Stillness allows clarity to rise. When you are still inside, you can recognize what is truly aligned and what is only loud. Heaven speaks most clearly where noise has been quieted, and this season requires you to protect that quiet. Another essential posture is obedience without inner conflict. During long delays, it is natural to develop caution, hesitation, and self-questioning. You learn to analyze everything because disappointment taught you to protect yourself. But now, that habit must loosen. When direction comes with peace, respond simply. Do not dilute clarity by overthinking it. Obedience now will feel calm, not dramatic. It will not require convincing yourself. It will feel right before it makes sense. Positioning also means guarding your inner environment intentionally. What you allow to influence your thoughts matter deeply right now. Voices that stir fear, comparison, or urgency without peace can distort alignment. This does not mean rejecting people, but filtering influence. Not every opinion deserves access to your process. Alignment requires a clear signal, and clarity weakens when too many voices compete. Choose environments, conversations, and content that reinforce stability, faith, and discernment. Gratitude is another posture heaven is emphasizing. Gratitude now is not a response to visible results. It is an agreement with what has already been authorized. Gratitude keeps your heart open and receptive. It protects you from impatience and entitlement. When gratitude becomes your posture, you stop striving for proof and start walking in trust. Heaven responds to gratitude because it reflects confidence in divine timing. There is also a practical dimension to positioning that must not be ignored. Readiness without pressure means preparing wisely while remaining peaceful. If there are steps you already know need to be taken, take them steadily. Organize what needs order. Align what needs adjustment. But do not exhaust yourself trying to anticipate everything. Preparation should feel supportive, not stressful. Heaven honors faithful readiness, not frantic effort. Another posture being restored is humility without shrinking. Humility does not mean downplaying your growth or doubting your place. It means recognizing that what is unfolding is larger than ego but still deeply personal. Walk forward without apology for clarity. Authority returns quietly when humility and confidence coexist. You do not need to announce your transformation. It will be evident in how you move, speak, and decide. Releasing control is also a key part of correct positioning. Long delays often teach people to manage outcomes tightly because uncertainty feels unsafe. Control constricts flow. Trust allows movement. As assurance increases, control must soften. Letting go does not mean being careless. It means allowing timing to unfold without constant interference. Heaven's order works best where trust replaces tension. Your language matters in this season. Positioning includes how you speak to yourself and about your future. Words either align with release or resist it. Be mindful of subtle phrases rooted in delay, fear, or self-protection. Replace them with language of readiness and expectation. You do not need to speak loudly or grammatically. Consistency matters more than volume. Community alignment also plays an important role. Staying connected to spaces that reinforce clarity helps you remain steady. If this message continues to resonate with you, engage with it. Like this video, share it with someone who needs direction. Leave a comment that affirms alignment. Subscribe to this channel, and consider joining the membership. These actions are not routine engagement. They keep you anchored in an environment where awareness is strengthened and confusion is minimized. And now hear this carefully. There is a deeper understanding approaching that will make everything you have experienced begin to connect in a powerful way. Missing that perspective could lead to unnecessary hesitation or doubt. Remain attentive. This is where many people drift, not because they lack faith, but because they underestimate the importance of clarity at this stage. Hold your awareness steady, because what unfolds next brings meaning to everything that has come before. Positioning is not about perfection. It is about presence. Heaven does not require flawless execution. It requires responsiveness. When alignment is maintained, release flows without resistance. Peace becomes your confirmation. Discernment becomes your guide. You are not behind. You are not catching up. You are positioned. And correct positioning ensures that what has been released arrives with stability, clarity, and lasting peace. Beloved one, now we must speak with calm seriousness, not to create fear, but to restore responsibility. When heaven sends a signal, it is always an invitation, never coercion. But every invitation carries weight. What you do with awareness matters. Ignoring a divine signal does not cancel heaven's plan, but it can delay your participation in it. This is why understanding the cost of ignoring the moment is important, not to threaten you, but to ground you. Throughout history, spiritual windows have opened quietly and closed without drama. Not because heaven was harsh, but because timing moved on. A window is not punishment, it is opportunity. An opportunity requires response. Many people assume that if something is meant for them, it will arrive no matter what. But heaven partners with human awareness. Alignment accelerates fulfillment. Disregard slows it. Ignoring the signal does not mean losing everything. It means prolonging confusion. It means staying in cycles that were meant to end. It means continuing to wrestle with questions that were already answered in the unseen realm. The cost is not loss of promise, it is loss of momentum. And momentum, once paused, takes longer to rebuild. One of the first consequences of ignoring awareness is spiritual dullness. Not rebellion, not rejection, but numbness. When the heart grows accustomed to postponing response, sensitivity weakens. Discernment becomes harder. Signs feel distant. Peace becomes inconsistent. This is not because heaven withdraws, but because attention shifts. Awareness is a muscle. When it is not exercised, it weakens. Another cost is unnecessary repetition. Lessons meant to conclude may resurface. Conversations repeat. Patterns return. You may find yourself asking the same questions again in a different season. This repetition is not punishment, it is mercy. Heaven patiently reintroduces opportunities, but often in quieter forms. What was once highlighted becomes subtle. What was once clear becomes faint. Ignoring the signal can also lead to misalignment through distraction. When awareness fades, distractions gain influence. Not always negative things, often neutral ones. Busy schedules, emotional noise, overthinking. These fill the space where clarity once lived. Slowly, urgency is replaced by complacency. Not intentional neglect, but gradual drifting. This is why heaven speaks when it does, before drifting becomes distance. It is important to say this clearly. Ignoring the signal does not make you bad or unfaithful. It makes you human. But heaven always calls humanity upward. Awareness invites growth. Growth invites responsibility. Responsibility invites partnership. This is the path alignment follows. Archangel Michael's role in this context is not condemnation, but protection. He stands as a reminder that some moments require decisiveness. His presence signals that what is at stake is not trivial. When authority is dispatched, it is because timing matters. Ignoring that authority does not provoke anger, it forfeits advantage. Another cause of ignoring the signal is internal conflict. When your spirit recognizes a moment but your actions do not align, tension builds. You may feel restless without knowing why. Peace feels incomplete. Joy feels delayed. This internal conflict drains energy and clarity. Alignment restores flow. Resistance interrupts it. There is also the cost of delayed fulfillment affecting others. What heaven releases through you is rarely only for you. Your obedience often carries benefit for people you may never meet. Ignoring the moment does not erase that impact, but it postpones it. Heaven's plan includes timing for others as well. Alignment serves more than one life. Scripture is filled with examples of missed moments, not missed forever, but missed then. People who hesitated, doubted, were delayed were still loved, still guided, but often had to journey longer to reach the same place. Heaven is patient, but patience does not eliminate consequence. It softens it. This is why awareness now is such a gift. You are not being warned because something terrible will happen if you hesitate. You are being invited because something good is ready to move. Heaven does not spotlight windows to scare you. It highlights them to prepare you. Ignoring the signal does not close heaven's heart toward you. It closes your awareness to timing. And timing, once passed, requires recalibration. That recalibration can take seasons instead of moments. Let this understanding settle without fear. You are not being judged. You are being trusted with information. Heaven believes you are capable of responding wisely. That belief is honor. This is also why peace has accompanied this message. Fear paralyzes. Peace empowers. Heaven wants you empowered, not pressured. Awareness gives you choice. Choice gives you dignity. Dignity invites alignment. You are still within the window. The signal is still active. Nothing hath been lost. But clarity matters now. Recognize the moment for what it is, an invitation to step out of cycles and into flow. The cost of ignoring the signal is not punishment, it is postponement. And postponement is unnecessary when readiness has already been confirmed. Beloved one, when you respond to a divine signal, something powerful begins immediately, even before you see any visible change. Response is not measured by speed or intensity. It is measured by agreement. Agreement between heaven and earth unlocks movement that cannot be forced by effort alone. The moment your spirit aligns with what has already been authorized, motion begins in layers you may not yet perceive. This is why response is sacred. It is not about proving faith. It is about recognizing timing. The first power release through response is acceleration with order. This is not chaotic speed or sudden overwhelm. It is progress without resistance. Situations that once required excessive effort begin to move with less friction. Conversations shift tone. Elation. What felt heavy begins to lighten. Acceleration guided by heaven feels calm because it is directed. There is no panic in it, only momentum that feels natural and steady. Another power activated through response is clarity in motion. Before response, clarity often comes in fragments. You sense pieces, impressions, and partial understanding. After response, those fragments begin to connect. You start seeing patterns. Past experience that makes sense. Delays reveal purpose. This clarity does not come from analysis, it comes from alignment. Heaven reveals more when trust is demonstrated, and response is a declaration of trust. Response also activates protection. When movement begins, coverage increases. Archangel Michael's role intensifies when transition is underway. Protection does not mean absence of challenge. It means challenges no longer have authority to derail you. You may still encounter resistance, but it will not confuse you or stop you. You will recognize it for what it is and move forward without fear. Protection creates confidence, not recklessness. Another power released through response is restoration of confidence at a deep level. This is not loud confidence or outward boldness. It is inner assurance. You stop questioning your place. You stop second-guessing discernment. You stop shrinking your voice to stay safe. This confidence does not harden you. It stabilizes you. Stability invites trust from others and confirmation from heaven. Response also unlocks favor through alignment. Favor is not random opportunity or luck. It is alignment being recognized. When you move in agreement with timing, favor appears as cooperation instead of opposition. Doors open without force. Help appears without manipulation. Resources align without strain. Favor flows where resistance once lingered, not because circumstances changed overnight, but because authority shifted. There is also a broader power release through response, impact beyond yourself. What heaven releases through you is rarely meant to stop with you. Your response creates permission for others to awaken. Your alignment strengthens collective clarity. Heaven often uses individual obedience to unlock communal movement. When you respond, you become a point of flow for others who are still waiting for courage or confirmation. Response also initiates emotional healing. Long delays leave residue, quiet disappointment, guarded hope, unspoken fatigue. When you respond, that residue begins to lift. Healing does not always come through rest alone. Sometimes it comes through forward movement aligned with purpose. You begin to feel lighter, not because everything is resolved, but because direction has returned. Your action heals confusion. Movement heals stagnation. Another power released is discernment sharpened by experience. Response trains you to recognize future signals more quickly. Sensitivity increases. Awareness deepens. You become more attuned to timing. This growth protects you from future delays rooted in hesitation. Heaven teaches through movement. Those who respond are trained to move with wisdom. It is important to understand that response does not require perfection. You will still learn. You will still adjust. You will still grow along the way. Response is not a declaration that you know everything. It is a declaration that you trust enough to move. Heaven honors movement guided by humility and peace. Fear has no place in response. Fear blocks alignment. Peace invites it. The peace you feel now is not accidental. It is confirmation. Heaven does not demand blind leaps. It invites aligned steps. One step at a time, guided by clarity. As you respond, grounding matters. Gratitude keeps response clean. Humility keeps response sustainable. Trust keeps response steady. You are not being asked to carry everything at once. You are being asked to move when prompted and pause when guided. This moment marks a transition from waiting to participating. Participation changes everything. You are no longer watching for signs from a distance. You are walking with awareness. Heaven responds to response with increased revelation, deeper peace, and stronger order. Type "I step into alignment" in the comments if this is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 8426 has now been released over this moment. And now receive this as a sacred extension of what hath been activated. This movement was never meant to stop with you. The Lord is saying, as you move in obedience, I pour oil that reaches places you will never see. Every seed sown into this mission becomes light for someone still trapped in delay. When you support through Super Thanks, step into membership, or release a seed through PayPal, the link is waiting in the description. You are not giving casually. You are responding prophetically. I speak this directly to you now. Your obedience in this window carries weight. Act now, because alignment multiplied through obedience opens doors no resistance can shut. Beloved one of the clearest confirmations that heaven is involved in a moment is not noise, not urgency, and not pressure, but peace. This kind of peace is not passive and it is not weak. It is firm, steady, and unmistakable. When something is aligned with heaven, peace becomes the environment in which it unfolds. This is how you discern that what is moving now is real and not imagined, guided and not rushed. Divine peace does not mean the absence of unanswered questions. It means the absence of inner turmoil. You may still be walking without full visibility, but your spirit is not disturbed. You are not driven by fear of missing out. You are not compelled by panic. Instead, there is a quiet confidence that says, this is right, even if I do not yet understand everything. That confidence is not self-generated. It is embodied. For a long time, confusion may have been your companion. Not dramatic confusion, but subtle uncertainty. You questioned your timing. You questioned your discernment. You wondered whether you were hearing clearly or merely hoping. That internal back and forth was exhausting. But now, something has changed. The noise has lowered. The arguments inside your mind have softened. This is not coincidence. This is confirmation. Peace is the signature Archangel Michael leaves when he has secured a transition. His presence does not excite the nervous system. It stabilizes it. Where there was inner conflict, order begins to settle. Where there was overthinking, clarity emerges. You may notice that decisions feel simpler now. Not easier, but clear. Peace removes unnecessary complexity. It is important to distinguish peace from avoidance. Avoidance feels calm on the surface but tense underneath. Peace feels steady all the way through. Avoidance resists engagement. Peace allows engagement without fear. When you think about what is unfolding now, notice your body, your breath, your inner posture. Peace will not tighten you. It will ground you. Another mark of divine peace is consistency. Emotional excitement rises and falls quickly. Anxiety spikes and crashes. But peace remains. It may deepen over time, but it does not disappear suddenly. Even when challenges arise, peace does not abandon you. It adjusts. This consistency is how you know alignment is present. You may also notice that peace brings patience, not delay-driven patience, but confident patience. You are willing to wait without doubting. You are able to move without rushing. You trust the process without trying to control it. This balance is rare, and it only appears when timing is correct. Peace also sharpens discernment. When fear is removed, perception improves. You begin to notice what fits and what does not. You recognize when something requires a yes and when it requires a pause. This discernment does not feel analytical. It feels intuitive. It flows naturally. That is another confirmation of alignment. Do not underestimate this peace. Many people look for signs outside themselves and ignore the most reliable confirmation within. Circumstances can mislead. Emotions can fluctuate. But peace rooted in alignment remains steady. Heaven confirms its movement internally before it confirms it externally. If peace is present, do not rush past it. Do not assume it means nothing is happening. Peace often indicates that something important has already been settled. It is the calm after authority hath been established. It is the assurance that the path ahead is secured, even if the details are still unfolding. You may also notice that peace allows you to rest more deeply, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Your mind no longer races the way it used to. Sleep may feel more restorative. Silence may feel comforting rather than uncomfortable. This rest is not laziness. It is restoration. Heaven restores strength before responsibility increases. Peace also affects how you relate to others. You may feel less reactive, less defensive, less eager to explain yourself. This is not withdrawal. It is maturity. When alignment is strong, you no longer need constant validation. You trust the process enough to let results speak in time. Understand this clearly. Peace does not mean nothing will challenge you. It means challenges will not control you. Resistance may still appear, but it will not steal clarity. Questions may still arise, but they will not dismantle trust. Peace becomes your anchor. This is why chaos is not a sign of divine urgency. Heaven does not push through anxiety. Heaven leads through assurance. If something demands panic to pursue, it is not part of this release. If something strips your peace completely, it requires reevaluation. Alignment always preserves peace, even in movement. Let peace be your confirmation. Let it guide your steps. Let it quiet old fears that no longer serve you. This peace did not arrive accidentally. It is the result of timing aligning, authority being established, and resistance being aggressed. You are not walking blindly. You are walking steadily. And peace is the evidence that heaven is involved in every step. Beloved one, now we arrive at a sacred stretch of time that requires clarity, steadiness, and awareness more than emotion. This is not about fear, and it is not about rushing. This is about alignment during what can be called the final hours of preparation. When heaven authorizes movement after a long season of delay, there is always a phase where things grow quiet, focused, and intentional. This phase is not empty. It is decisive. What happens here determines how smoothly the release completes its course. These are the hours where alignment becomes habit, not just understanding. Heaven has already issued permission. Authority has already been established. What remains now is cooperation through consistency. Many people misunderstand this stage and assume that if things feel calm or ordinary, nothing is happening. But this calm is not absence, it is stabilization. Heaven secures foundations before revealing structures. But is stable lasts longer than what is rushed. One of the most important disciplines in this phase is restraint. Restraint does not mean resisting obedience. It means resisting impulse. You do not need to announce everything you sense. You do not need to seek constant confirmation. You do not need to explain your inner shifts to people who are not part of the process. Silence here is not secrecy. It is wisdom. What is forming needs space to settle without interference. Another focus in these hours is consistency. Continue doing what has been grounding you. Continue listening, reflecting, praying, and acting when prompted. Do not change direction simply because progress feels subtle. Subtlety does not mean stagnation. Often it means alignment has reached a level where noise is no longer required. Heaven values those who can remain steady without needing constant stimulation. You may notice that familiar temptations resurface in this phase. Not dramatic ones, but old patterns. The urge to rush ahead. The urge to question what has already been clarified. The urge to seek reassurance from voices that once comforted you during delay. Recognize these urges without judging yourself. They are echoes of past seasons, not indicators of present truth. You do not need to revisit what you have already outgrown. Another key aspect now is attentiveness in ordinary moments. Heaven often tests alignment not through opposition, but through normalcy. Life continues. Responsibilities remain. Conversations happen. And in these ordinary moments, discernment proves itself. You are learning how to carry alignment without needing special conditions. This is maturity. Anyone can feel confident during dramatic change. Alignment is revealed in quiet steadiness. Be mindful of your inner dialogue during this phase. The way you speak to yourself matters deeply. Replace speculation with trust. Replace self-questioning with patience. You do not need to predict the outcome to walk correctly. You only need to remain aligned. Rest also becomes essential here, but not careless rest. Intentional rest. When you rest with awareness, clarity sharpens. When fatigue sets in, discernment blurs. Heaven restores strength before increasing responsibility. Honor that rhythm. Slowing your mind is not falling behind. It is preparing your capacity. This is also a moment to stay connected. If this message has been helping you recognize timing and alignment, engage with it. Like this message, share it with someone who may be navigating a similar season. and leave a comment that affirms what is unfolding in your spirit. Subscribe to this channel and consider joining the membership so you remain rooted in messages that strengthen discernment rather than dilute it. Staying connected now reinforces clarity when distraction would otherwise creep in. Now hear this carefully, because this matters more than you realize. The understanding that unfolds after this point will connect everything you have experienced in a way that brings deep peace. Missing that connection can lead to unnecessary confusion later. Hold your awareness steady, not anxious, not rushed. Just present. This is where patience becomes wisdom. You might feel tempted to mark this moment with a dramatic action, to do something big so you feel progress. Resist that impulse. Obedience now will likely look simple. Answering a message you have been delaying. Releasing a conversation you no longer need to continue. Taking a small step you already know is right. Heaven values precision over performance. Small aligned actions carry great authority. If you have felt drawn to continue listening, that is not accidental. There is a reason this stage feels important. Keep listening. This is where clarity deepens and everything begins to connect in a way you did not expect. These hours are not about waiting again. They are about sealing alignment into your daily posture. What becomes habit now will carry you forward without strain. You are not standing still. You are being anchored. The steadiness you feel is intentional. The quiet is purposeful. And this alignment ensures that what comes next arrives without distortion, delay, or regret. Beloved one, now we come to a moment that feels quieter on the surface but carries deep significance within. This is the transition from waiting into walking, from holding expectation into living alignment. Stepping into what was held back does not arrive with fireworks or noise. It arrives with a shift in posture, identity, and responsibility. Many imagine that when delay breaks, life suddenly becomes dramatic and obvious. But heaven often moves differently. What was held back enters gently, because it is meant to stay. This stage is where you begin to walk with what was once distant, not chasing it, not hoping for it, but carrying it. And carrying requires strength that waiting did not demand. Waiting trained your endurance. Walking trains your trust. Trust that you do not need to control outcomes. Trust that you do not need constant reassurance. Trust that alignment itself will guide you. One of the first things you may notice is an internal shift in how you see yourself. You no longer identify primarily as someone waiting for change. You begin to see yourself as someone moving with purpose. This identity shift is subtle but powerful. It affects how you speak, how you decide, and how you respond to challenges. You stop asking, "When will it happen?" and start asking, "How do I steward this well?" With this shift comes responsibility. Not pressure, but ownership. What heaven releases is entrusted, not dropped. You are not being tested. You are being trusted. And trust requires attentiveness. You will sense when to move forward and when to pause. You will recognize when something aligns and when it does not. This discernment feels natural now because it has been trained through delay. You may also notice that old fears attempt to resurface at this stage. The thoughts like, "What if I lose this?" Or "What if I do something wrong?" These thoughts are normal, but they do not deserve authority. They are echoes of past seasons, not indicators of present reality. What was held back has been released with protection. Fear is no longer a guide. Peace is. Stepping into what was held back also brings a new relationship with time. You are no longer counting days the same way. You are less focused on how fast things are happening and more aware of how grounded you feel while they unfold. This is maturity. Heaven does not rush as it trusts. He walks with them. You may find that certain conversations no longer feel necessary. Explaining yourself feels less important. Defending your journey feels unnecessary. This is not withdrawal. It is confidence rooted in alignment. When you are walking in what was released, validation loses its grip. You no longer need permission from people who did not walk the delay with you. There is also a quiet joy that begins to surface. Not excitement that spikes and fades, but contentment that settles. You feel present. You feel capable. You feel anchored. This joy does not depend on everything being perfect. It depends on knowing you are exactly where you are meant to be. As you walk forward, understand that not everything will reveal itself at once. Heaven unfolds in layers. You will be shown what you need when you need it. Trying to see too far ahead can reintroduce anxiety. Stay with the step in front of you. That is where grace is sufficient. Another important aspect of this stage is integration. What you learned during delay now integrates into how you live. Patience becomes wisdom. Discernment becomes habit. Trust becomes posture. Nothing was wasted. The waiting season was not a pause, it was training. And now that training supports you as you move forward. Archangel Michael's role here is escort, not just defender. He stands at transitions, ensuring that what enters your life does so in order. You are not crossing alone. You are being guided. This guidance does not shout, it steadies. When uncertainty arises, return to peace. Peace will always point you back to alignment. There may be moments when you are tempted to look back, to revisit old questions, to analyze past delays again. Release that urge. The past has already served its purpose. Looking forward now does not dishonor what was. It honors what is. This stage requires gentleness with yourself. Growth does not mean perfection. You will still learn. You will still adjust. But you are no longer stuck. You are no longer waiting to be chosen. You are walking in what has been entrusted to you. What was held back is no longer distant. It is part of your path now. Walk steadily. Walk humbly. Walk with awareness. You have been prepared for this, and everything you need will meet you as you move forward. Beloved child, this is the moment where everything settles into certainty. Not excitement that fades, not emotion that rises and falls, but assurance that remains steady. What began as an alert from heaven has now become a sealed understanding in your spirit. A window that opened did not open to confuse you or rush you. It opened to restore order, timing, and trust. And now, heaven brings this journey to completion, not by ending movement, but by anchoring it. Look at how far clarity has come. At the beginning, there was urgency without explanation. Then came understanding, alignment, response, and movement. Now comes sealing. Sealing does not mean nothing more will happen. It means what has been authorized is no longer unstable. What is sealed is protected. What is sealed cannot be undone by doubt, delay, or distraction. Heaven seals what it intends to last. This is where assurance replaces questioning. You no longer need to ask if heaven heard you. You no longer need to wonder if timing was missed. You no longer need to replay old fears about being forgotten or overlooked. Those questions belong to a previous season. This season is about walking forward with trust that what has been released will continue unfolding in the right order. Archangel Michael's role in this final moment is confirmation and guard. When a matter is sealed, his presence ensures that what has begun will be carried through without interference. You are not required to defend what heaven has authorized. You are required to remain aligned with it. Alignment is your responsibility. protection is heaven's. His sealing also brings rest to your soul. Not the rest of disengagement, but the rest of confidence. You are no longer straining to interpret signs. You are no longer anxious about every decision. You move with peace, knowing that correction will come gently if needed and direction will come clearly when required. This is the mark of maturity in the Spirit. As you move forward, remember this: assurance does not mean everything will be easy. It means nothing will be wasted. Challenges may still arise, but they will no longer derail you. Delays may still occur, but they will not confuse you. You will recognize the difference between waiting and resistance, between rest and stagnation. Discernment now walks with you. This sealing also brings gratitude into sharper focus. Gratitude for what was delayed, because it trained you. Gratitude for what was released, because it aligned you. Gratitude for what is coming, because it is protected. Gratitude anchors you in trust and keeps your heart open as new responsibilities unfold. Heaven does not close a chapter without blessing. And this blessing is not loud or dramatic. It is steady, deep, and lasting. It rests over your decisions. It guards your timing. It strengthens your peace. It reminds you that you are not walking alone, and you never were. Now receive this final affirmation with confidence. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not catching up. You are aligned. What heaven has sealed will unfold with precision. You do not need to force it. You do not need to fear it. You only need to walk with awareness and trust. Type IT is sealed in the comments if you receive this with faith. Blessing code 9631 has now been released and established over your life. And now, hear this final call as a sacred continuation of everything you have received. This message was never meant to stop with you. The Lord is speaking now, saying, as you sow, I multiply light. As you release, I open heavens. What you give in this moment is not a donation. It is obedience. It is seed placed into fertile ground so others can hear the call when their name is flagged. I am speaking directly to you now. This is your invitation to respond. Support this mission through Super Thanks. Step into membership or sow through PayPal, because the link is waiting for you in the description. I declare that every seed released in alignment returns as harvest, protection, and increase. Do it now, not later, because obedience in a sealed moment unlocks blessings that cannot be delayed.